3-screen thing going
I
on.
could play too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you want to just like
Should just
You guys want to play COD while the
we could
things...
stream it on Twitch. We could Twitch stream it and have a live.
just have a COD podcast.
Do
Yeah.
COD over the podcast, yeah. That'd be, or the podcast over COD. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Like a Twitch stream /pod /fantasy football / random
Break it.
swearing.
They would
Breaking
turn it on and be like, what the fuck is this?
Bunch of fuck. Why can't I join this game? It's black screen. You black screen me.
All right. Welcome, everybody.
It's week 7 podcast.
Week
What?
10 podcast, web.com, 2017. It's us. We're here. Hey, Brack, Caleb Schmitz.
So
We are back. We are back.
back again.
Back for another fun-filled week of living hell. That is web.com right now for a couple of us.
2017 just end already?
Yeah, so all right. Let's just get right at it because I feel like it has the potential to be a long one this week because a lot of shit's happening. So game of the week. Dan and Mingo. The game that was billed as who wants to be the best team in web. And apparently neither of these teams do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I don't know what happened. I have no explanations for what happened. Like I tweeted out, this was my franchise record lowest performance. Barely broke the 100 mark. I could have joined the sub 100 club along with one of our owners here in the podcast, Caleb.
Real
Yeah.
exclusive.
It is only 4 people out of
Would have welcomed
10.
you with open arms. I was really hoping to join.
But squeaked it out. Yeah, my offense was just god awful. I mean, I made the trade for Marvin Jones, trying to kind of get a spark into my wide receiver core, and I mean, he had 1 catch, 2.2 points this week, and the rest of the team just kind of followed suit.
It sounds like we're at a funeral right now.
The mood is just
Offense
Very
hits
tough.
bad week. Traded for Marvin Jones. 2.2 points.
Well,
No
I mean,
touchdowns out of anybody but Stafford, looks like.
yeah. I mean, Fournette had his. I mean, Fournette doesn't do this. I haven't had Fournette in 3 weeks, but he comes back and gives me 4 points. And, yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall after Thursday with AP fumbling on the first drive. Like, I got a solid game out of Fitzgerald, like, because of the garbage time that was kind of happening. But Jimmy Graham, like, set the tone for Dan's week and just kind of all went from there. Didn't ever really change.
One of those weeks, man. Happens.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just kind of what you got to kind of pick yourself up and move on. Like, I mean, the Big Five is, I mean, it's certainly still very wide open. But for me, like with how the season has gone, I mean, it shakes your confidence a little bit to lose to Dan in both of your matchups with him, because that's just kind of, that's like who you got to beat to really take your spot in the Big Five, and I just wasn't able to do it this year. I mean, I would have beat him if I would have started a cornerback the first time, but loss is a loss. So,
Oh my goodness. Gotta beat the best to be the best. That's what they say, right?
yeah, I mean, I got another chance to beat another Big Five, big dog this week. Parker Brock.
Your resume is real nice. Got a lot of quality losses. All the rage in college football right now.
Yeah, can we get like a selection committee so I can like get the 1 seed no matter what? Because that'd be nice. But no, Dan. I mean, Dan didn't have a great week either. You know, he had the 2 WIB this week. 136.6 was his lowest point total since week 2. But you know, he hits me on the right week here, and now I mean, 7-3, tied for the best record in Web, and closing the points gap after this one. I dropped like 9 points per game because of this 101. So
Wow.
I'll do it.
Pretty hefty. But yeah, no, I think Dan is with 4 games to play now, and I mean, once we finish up with week 10 stuff, we'll kind of talk about how the playoff picture is really kind of wide open at this point. But Dan is certainly like he's definitely got a chance for that 1 seed. You know, like the Big 5 is. I mean, it can go 3 ways at this point, honestly, and you know, Dan picks up a win against me this week, and now he kind of has a little bit of control almost as we move on last quarter of the season.
Do you still have the scoring lead on him?
Yeah, it's currently I'm up on by 4 points per game.
Well, good thing we do scoring lead and not head to head, eh?
Yeah, yeah, really. Wow, that would be awful.
One thing coming out of this matchup, both teams came out pretty hurt. Demaryius Thomas limited, Jarvis Landry limited, Frank Clark questionable, Jamie Collins out for the season, and then for UCorp, Fournette, Dez, Charles Clay all questionable, Zach Brown questionable, and Sean Lee could be out a couple weeks. So they're just not to add insult to injury, but yeah, pretty much adding injury to insult.
And that's one of the biggest things with my team this season is it's kind of been overshadowed because I've been so good, but I have been destroyed by injuries this season, and it's not stopping. You know, like Dalvin Cook, J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson. I've had, you know, Sean Lee's been out multiple times. I've had
Fat Rob.
Yeah. Don't even talk about Fat Rob. He is not even. I hate him.
Jordan Matthews questionable. Wow, I didn't even look at the bench. Yeah,
I mean, it's like Fournette missed the game. It's just, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've had a lot of injuries this season, but it is what it's part of the thing. I've tried to really kind of build some depth on my team, and now I'm running into the problem I texted you, Caleb, earlier in the week. Like, I don't even know who to start anymore. Yeah. It's like the Marvin Jones trade almost didn't help me at all because now it's just another like player that I have to decide if I want to start him in my wide receiver 3 or flex or what I'm going to do.
Those are the worst decisions too. You just sit there Sunday morning. Like I got that with my wide receiver 3 too. It's just like, oh, do I start Jordy Huntley? This could be the week. But Doxson's about to break out. Oh, but he's facing the Seahawks. Dang it, Martavis might. Yeah, those are Sundays for me.
No, it's literally awful. Like you don't like you find yourself looking at the matchups and then you're like overthinking everything and yeah, I mean like Corey Davis is still like supposedly kind of going to be a player down the stretch, and like he would have had a touchdown this last week, but he fumbled it and whatever. I don't know, but yeah, I mean Juju's like pretty much a rock in the lineup at this point, moving forward at least. So like, I mean, I don't even know what to do. Like Keenan Allen is like on the bench right now. Like that's where my team's at. It's just so stupid. But
the thing that always happens to me once I finally make a decision is I picture the person I didn't pick just going off.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it's just all that whole cycle all over again.
I know. Yeah, it's definitely a struggle at this point, and we're gonna. I mean, with 4 to play, like, and now it's like with Dan is 7-3, and Parker gets a win this week, 6-4. Like now, all of a sudden, I kind of have to like be a little bit worried. Like before I was just like, all right, I'm going to get into the playoffs and then whatever happens, happens. And now I'm kind of like, all right, I got to get into the playoffs. Like, it's not
Yeah.
even a for sure thing anymore. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be a crazy finish to the season. It's going to be something incredibly strange is going to happen. I guarantee it. Like, that fourth playoff spot could end up just being the most ridiculous thing.
A lot of teams stacking up right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, because the Brock Bowl, second Brock Bowl of the season, and Parker manages to win this time around. He lost the first, or no, he won the first one as well. So 2-0 in Brock Bowls this year for Parker. And now Parker 6-4 going into a game with me. All of a sudden, Parker is literally right in the spot to win the Big Five. Like, he could literally win this week, and I mean, it's like right there. And it's like, who would have even seen that?
He's probably got a matchup with Dan yet too.
Yeah, let's see what
for sure. But
how is this shaking out here? Parker's going to end the season with Dan. Which last season, or 2 seasons ago, that was for the Big Five. Like, they matched up in week 14, and the winner was going to win the Big Five. It might honestly be the same kind of a thing this year, depending on where my team goes or if I can win this week.
And David Johnson got his cast off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's got that going for him.
Mike Evans back from a suspension.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a roller coaster season for this
team. It just
team.
reminded me that he beat me without Mike Evans.
I was just but maybe he's finally catching his stride here in the latter part of the season. It's been a roller coaster and starting to put it together. And
he definitely, his season is just a complete roller coaster. You're right.
It was 1-2 in a row, lost 1, 1-2 in a row, and then lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And I was winning
How many times have we dug a grave for Parker on this podcast?
Yeah, I know. Like, the week low in week 3, it's kind of like, oh man, is Parker done? And then he comes back with a week high the next week. It's like, Parker's back. And then he rips 3 losses in a row off with a week low in there. And it's like, Parker is so done.
Cooked.
And 2-0 in the last 2 weeks with a week high. And it's just like, what is going on?
I don't know.
Like, it's actually kind of like he has now brought himself back to 4th in scoring. I think he lost that for a little while or something. But he's back to 4th in scoring. The WIB is up to 4.6 now, which is now 4th. So he's kind of set himself in that 4th spot. And both of these are ahead of Tim, not ahead of Brock. So when we say the top 4, that doesn't actually include the Pac-5 leader. But
awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome stuff, you know. But no, Parker, like, I don't know, man. It's been a crazy, and you really never know. You know, like these last 4 weeks, like, it could go very poorly, or he might continue on the momentum that he has right now. I'm not sure. Nobody really knows. That's kind of just the story of 2017.
If the trend continues, next week we'll be talking about how done he is again.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Is like, he could lose this week against me, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't really think he can win the Big Five anymore. So can he even get the wild card? It's just like, I don't know. But okay, so Brock, your team, like, this is honestly the story of the season so far. I mean, Tim and you, whatever the hell's going on in the Pac-5 is the story of the season for me, because like, we were just joking about it before we started. Like, are we going to talk about this again? Like, yeah, Brock loses, but it's fine. Like, he'll be fine. It's like, okay, it's week 10. There's 4 games to play.
Is it time to hit the panic button?
Well, I specifically said last week that if I lose this game, I can't do that whole spiel again.
Yeah.
But I might. No, I'm not. It's bad. It's not good, man. The one thing the stat I had that I found from my team is, like, if we put a threshold at 150 points, which is a pretty good score, this year at least. If I score over 150 points, 5-0. If I don't, 0-5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't catch a break, man.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, like a couple of these like under 150 scores, like your last two scores and your week 2 loss, which was 143.7, all of those are above the league average. So, I mean, they're not great totals, but in relative to this season, they're actually pretty decent totals. And yeah, just haven't found a way to win in those types of games. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, like Tim, who has won all of those kind of games, and it's like, yeah.
And I got Dave on my ass too, who's won like 4 of those games. He's like four wins, scoring below 145, I think.
Yeah, it's honestly like just looking at this, you know, like Tim is 7-3 and he's scoring 13 points per game less than you. Dave is also 5-5, which is the same record as you, and he is scoring 24 points less than you per game. It's just like, it is honestly one of the most, I would say, unfortunate and unlucky seasons that we have seen in Webb. And I mean, far from over, but
yeah, I've been blocking it out since Sunday, so it's good to get this all out in the air. I feel a little better actually. The repression is finally being brought into the open. Yeah. The other thing too is my team's kind of like slid into this funk where I can't, like, I score like 148 like per game for like the last like 4 weeks, and I like have like a 4-point spread either way, and it just scores somewhere in that span like each week, and I can't get out of it. Like I can't like each week I'm kind of setting myself up to lose games because I can't like put up a real strong week and just get an auto win. So that's that's
definitely true. Last 4 weeks, averaging 149 points per game, and all within the range of 145 to 152.
That's brutal.
So, and it's funny too because your team is the team that set the bar this season for the highest score. The 229.7 that you had in week 3 was far and away the best week of the season by any team. Dan's the only other team with a 200-point week. So I mean, we talked about it before the season. Like your team has all of this offensive potential, like potentially like a scoring record breaker type of a lineup, and it just hasn't come together yet. And it's, I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand why. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's weird too because if you look at my players, like Todd Gurley, like RB1, having an amazing year. Antonio Brown's pretty much doing Antonio Brown things. Like Gronk's still a tight end, top tight end.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like my players aren't really underachieving. I mean, I guess the Julio thing where he can't get a touchdown is kind of hurting a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're third in scoring, you know, far and away third in scoring, fourth in defensive scoring, tied for second in offensive scoring. Like your team is performing at a high level.
Yeah.
It's just you happen to be 5-5. And I mean, like with how this season is shaken out, like, I mean, you're still well within it, you know, like it's not like a death sentence to be 5-5 right now. But it's definitely to that point where like, okay, a win is kind of something that you need to see this week.
That the Brock Bowl game, like if I would have won that would have been a nice like 6-4, like feel comfortable, like don't really have to sweat out the end of the season for the most part. But now it just set up last 4 weeks or whatever we got left. It's gonna be weird. But
that being said, this is the Pac-5. You're coming off of 2 Big 5 games, which you went 0-2. Now you get Dave, you get Tim, you get Caleb, and you get Josh. That's going to be your end of the season. So you got 3 of the lowest scoring teams in the league, plus Tim. So I mean, you got the right teams to do it.
Got a 3-1 Pac-5 record right now, so
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's
the big five's killing me, man. Killing me.
all right. Yeah. All right. Let's move it on. So let's see, Caleb. Another team that we kind of put the dagger in, and here he is, 6-4.
He tried to put the dagger in himself, man.
Yeah, I was trying to end it.
This
I
is
wanted to.
It's your classic reverse jinx here.
Yep, exactly.
Textbook reverse jinx.
Trade away Alshon. You know, it's been a fun season and everything. It's been a ride, and then all of a sudden we got a 160 effort out of me over Josh in a win, and I'm 6-4. So I don't know, weird times. Feeling good. I had some next gen stats that I tweeted out on my web.com. Yeah, next gen stats. Versus Josh on the season, I am averaging 162.1 points per game in my 2 games against him. Against the rest of the league, I'm averaging 127.1. So I don't know what I have against Josh, but I am just 162. It's unreal.
Are you against marriage?
I don't know. I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to pick on him, but that's pretty crazy. But I mean, I don't know. My team all of a sudden, like the offense is doing things. Like Crowell has back-to-back weeks of 15 points. Michael Thomas had a big week, even without a touchdown. Evan Ingram has a touchdown in his last 4 games. I don't know. It's been wild. I'm still in it, baby.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the thing with your team, too, is...
mention Funchess, man. Come on.
Oh, yeah, Funchess. Oh, duh. Sorry, because I hadn't seen my lineup because he has a bye. But, yeah, 100 Funchess of Oats, the brand leader. Big game last week. He's looking really good. And he's in that number 1 role in Carolina. And if Cam can keep up his somewhat MVP style of play, he'll be a good play moving forward.
I think that everybody kind of just assumes that your offense is underperforming because of some of the star power that hasn't produced. And that is true. I mean, you are, one of the lowest. Wait a minute. Yeah, you're 9th in offensive scoring. So that's not great. But at the same time, if your offensive guys can get it going, like we've kind of seen, you get a 160 this week. The defense has also kind of been a hindrance this season.
Yeah.
You are not 9th in defensive scoring as well. So you definitely have star power on offense that could turn it on in any given week. But the defense is also kind of something that, and I mean, you do have big names on the defense too. Yeah. So it's just,
I got my linebacking core of Mosley, Kirksey, and Kuechly. And then, of course, I just hate defensive linemen. Literally, David Irving. This dude had a sack in every game since he came back from suspension. Pick him up, and he doesn't get a sack. Like, I don't know what to do with that position. So
you got to pick up the people who haven't had sacks in the last
couple of games. Who are the lowest scoring defensive linemen in the league? I'll pick them up.
Why didn't you pick up Adrian Claiborne? Like, how did you not see that coming?
No, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, no, I think like being 6-4 right now, like it's crazy. You're still 8th in scoring overall, but at the same time, you see this out of your team this week, the 160, and you move forward now, and you have a game with Dave yet, and a game with Kelvin, which is your upcoming game for the week 11. So if you can manage to take advantage of the game with Kelvin, go to 7-4. All of a sudden, like 8-6 might get a playoff spot this year, and you got to win one of these games with Dave, Brock, and Tim to end the season, and you're 8-6. So, yeah. I mean, I'm done saying that teams should or should not be in the playoff race because honestly, it just doesn't matter anymore. Like these teams that are 6-4 or these teams that are 7-3, like it's week 10. Like your record is the most important stat that you have. And if Caleb is 6-4, like he is definitely in reach of the playoffs. And I mean, anything can happen. That is the story of this season. Keep it weird and anything can happen because we've seen it time and time again.
We've kind of reached the threshold because when we were doing that, like there's plenty of time for them to fall off yet, but kind of now, even if you kind of fall off scoring, you're still in it. Like all you gotta do is get lucky like one or two times.
Yep.
Like
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is like Dave. Nobody expects Dave to beat Tim this week. Like this is just another game on Tim's schedule where he's going to go 8-3 and all this stuff. It's just like, what happens? Like you can never assume something is going to happen. Like I could have played Calvin this week and I would have lost. Like it's just you don't know what's going to happen on a week-to-week basis, and that's why like none of this stuff really matters anymore. If you've set yourself up to be in the playoff conversation, like you are in it. It doesn't matter how much you're scoring or anything like that. Unfortunately for Josh, he takes the Honey Funchess of Oats beating once again, the second time in 4 weeks, and Josh is 2-8. And we talked about, we kind of all liked his trade deadline and what he did, moving his team forward. And I mean, it's just kind of really where the team is now, with 4 to play, it's kind of just, see where these draft picks are going to end up and move forward into the off season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The big swing in our game, at least when it was early and still somewhat competitive, was when Aaron Jones got hurt and Montgomery came in and scored a touchdown. Like that was quite a swing. That really, really did it. But yeah,
I never thought of that you guys were playing each other with them.
Yeah, that changed things right away. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. Big week out of Will Lutz, 13 points. I don't know.
Kickers.
Yeah. Deion Lewis had a special teams touchdown. Austin Hooper, tight end 7.
Hooper. Yeah. That's even though the brand has now changed, Hoopers remains one of the faces of the team.
Does.
Former face.
Yes.
Sense of divide in the locker room.
Let's talk about the game that I just mentioned between Tim and Dave, because obviously this was the story of the week. I mean, if it wasn't the Brock Bowl going the way that it did, it was certainly this game where Adam Thielen and the Dirty Bunch of Boys came in and wrecked Tim. And I mean, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that it's a huge upset in the fact that Dave is scoring less points than Tim. However, Dave is only scoring 11 points per game less than Tim, which is a lot, but it is still less than Tim is scoring under Brock. So the divide between Dave and Tim is a lot closer than the divide between Tim and Brock. So, yeah, I mean, Dave is 5-5. Like, he's quietly kind of had this respectable season. He's
in the playoff hunt, man.
Yeah, I mean,
if Brock's in the playoff hunt, so is Dave.
Right. Yeah. That's what it is. I mean, he has the same record as Brock, and he's got games with Caleb, Josh, Carter. I mean, these are all teams that are, playing at a little bit higher level than him, but are definitely winnable games. He just beat Tim, so clearly he just proved that he can beat anybody. So, I mean, Tim, like, we've been talking about this the entire season. We kind of had to pump the brakes a little bit. He's on a 3-game winning streak. This was 7-2. But we see now this side of Tim come out this week that we were all kind of worried about. And yeah, I mean, he drops a game. He's 7-3, still leading the Pac-5, still tied for the best record in Webb. But at the same time, he kind of showed what this team might end up becoming without Zeke.
Yeah, I don't know. Dave, like that whole game, like it was back and forth, and then it seemed like the Ingram trade to him would sort of Like, actually unbelievable that he's still putting up these numbers. Like, the
Awesome.
Saints running attack is unbelievable. Ingram and Kamara combined for like 50 points. It's insane. But now Tim down Devonta Freeman, who's doubtful for their next matchup. Like, he can't catch a break at the running back position right now. And so it'll be interesting to see what he does going forward. Vontez Burfict got ejected again, so that's sort of fun at linebacker. It's a recurring theme we're seeing.
Yeah, luckily for Tim, he's pretty much gonna make the playoffs. So.
Yeah.
But Zeke is gonna miss 1 week of the playoffs, right?
Yes.
So
He would come back for the title game if Tim made it. But yeah, Mark Ingram. We talked about last week was a sneaky good trade for Tim. Giving up a second, getting Ingram, and wow,
just goes off.
It's like I don't even understand. Like, and it's not like Kamara is taking any kind of like hit from that either. Like they're both putting up huge weeks together. So it's like
there was the Saints rushed the ball like 20 straight times in a row. It was like, I don't remember the exact number. It was the most since like 1980 something.
That's amazing what the Saints have become, man.
Yeah, really. Like the Saints, rushing powerhouse. Yeah. Yeah, I think like you just said though, Brock, like Tim's pretty safe in terms of like, is he going to make the playoffs? It's just kind of, at this point, I think it's more so just like how dangerous is Tim,
Mm-hmm.
Like if he like Tim could get the 1 seed yet, winning the Pac-5, and the Big 5 might kind of eat itself alive a little bit. Tim gets the 1 seed based off a record, and all of a sudden, like, you have a team like Brock or Parker or Caleb or even me playing Tim in the first round, and it's like, like how dangerous of a 1 seed really is that at that point?
He doesn't have Zeke in the first round. He's not really that dangerous at all. I mean, it's the playoffs, you never know, but like,
right?
I don't know.
I mean,
we could be setting ourselves up for an all-time Tim collapse. I just started thinking about that, and it made me really kind of happy, man. Like,
yeah, finally loses Devonta. Like, what is
Devonta
out here?
He's a concussion, right?
Yeah,
Devonta.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's always a little worrisome when they don't come back next week. You don't know how long that's going to linger.
Yeah. So I think he had one like the week before or something as well, and then he got another one the following week.
He doesn't have an easy schedule. Like, he has Josh this week, but then it's Brock, Dan, and then me to finish out the season.
Got a Dan match.
He's got a little bit of a gauntlet to go here yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where. I mean,
good. He needed a tough stretch.
Yeah. Or we're finally ending out this Dave Josh thing we've been talking about for a while.
Yeah.
He loses one today, but I mean, odds are he'll take 3 out of 4. So,
yeah. All right. Carter and Calvin have been looking forward to this one because it's the time of the week where we get to talk about how much we all love Carter and what he's been
my favorite time of the week.
Favorite segment, the Carter dick sucking session is in order once again after another win.
Greg
Carter's still in playoff hunt.
Oh, God.
I don't know. He's 4-6. Like, he could win out and be 8-6.
8-6 could make it, man.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of just like your run-of-the-mill, like, end of the season, 2 teams that are pretty much out of it type of a game. But at the same time, Carter bounces back from a week low with a victory. He's now 3-1 in the last 4 weeks. So teams kind of looking for something to build on heading into the end of the season. Carter's definitely seeing that.
Yeah.
He had the 5-game losing streak, and now he's kind of seeing his team bouncing back a little bit. Calvin, I mean, it is what it is. He's 1-9. He's probably going to get the first overall pick, I would imagine, based on what's happened to him this season.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a decent week for him, like compared to what he's been doing lately. 15 out of Tate, 13 out of Sanders, 15 out of Kenyon Drake. A solid little week for him.
Yeah, and
no loss.
I have a stat.
All right.
I have a stat. All right. So I know the Greg the Leg joke, face of the team thing has been kind of the running joke here in the pod. It's like, oh, he's the face of the team. He carries this team. He's actually the top scoring person on this team. Like including the quarterbacks.
17 points in 3 straight weeks.
Greg the Leg with 130 points this year. Next closest, Matt Ryan, 127.9.
Yeah, a team with Matt Ryan and Derek Carr is being led by its kicker.
Most valuable kicker ever.
It's dude. I should have traded for him. Should have traded for him. It's unbelievable.
Like Carter should sell high this offseason to me.
First plus. The first ever first plus for a kicker trade.
Like, what's the price on a kicker? Like, actually, if you were trading for Greg Zuerlein,
man.
Like,
I mean, I don't think you'd go like higher than a second. Like
no.
that would be like maximum. Like, I'm desperate for this.
If you were desperate, like maybe.
I don't think the kicker trade's ever going to happen in the offseason, though. Like, I could have, if we would have thought of it sooner, I could have pictured it happening like right now, where you want to like ride the Greg the Leg wave here to the end of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah. I can't picture it actually happening like in the offseason. Draft day. Oh,
draft day move.
Just throwing in Zuerlein kicker move up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Is that it? Is that the last game?
That was it.
Yeah. Wow. All right. That was week 10, everybody. Pretty crazy week. Now, 4 games to play. Let's do some lightning round week 11 predictions, and then we'll talk a little bit about kind of this whole playoff picture and kind of what we see happening, and end it on that. How does that sound?
I have one small topic of discussion at the end.
All right.
Okay. Well, housekeeping.
Not really housekeeping, just kind of a question thing. I don't know.
I like that.
Right.
I like that, Caleb.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So week 11, Big 5 matchups. Mingo and Parker.
Big one here.
Yep.
Corf can't afford to go 7-4. That's a little sketchy. Parker needs to go 7-4 because 6-5 is a little more sketchy. I'd say it's a must win.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a can't lose for you.
It's a can't lose. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like one of these teams is going to lose, and their season is going to be directly impacted by this loss. So there is certainly a lot on the line in this game.
Yeah. Huge game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm coming off of the worst performance I've ever seen in Webb, but I'm getting Kareem back. The Kareem and Fournette are finally in the starting lineup together for the first time in 5 weeks. Gotta imagine my wide receivers bounce back.
Did you know I have another little stat here? Are you ready?
Don't say it.
Kareem Hunt has not scored a touchdown since week 3 of this year.
That's a long time
So that's
ago.
my little stat of the week here.
I was like, gee. That was in September.
Shut up.
That was
We're in November.
the month before last month.
Yeah.
Done a whole month. It's the holiday season. He hasn't scored it since early fall.
Any prediction? Is he going to score again this season?
Yes, this is the week. I'm saying it. I am saying it right now. If Kareem Hunt doesn't get a touchdown this week, then I'm going to quit.
Okay, that works too.
I'm gonna eat your shoe.
I'm going to eat my shoe.
Okay.
On the podcast live.
Ooh.
People better turn in for on YouTube for that.
We don't get at least 5 viewers. Do something right.
Paul Lincoln could eat shoe. Kareem Hunt can't score touchdowns.
Well, guys, what do you think?
Oh man, taking the moneymakers.
I think I'm gonna take Parker. Keep it in the family.
Same.
I'm gonna have to pick myself, but I talked to Parker earlier this evening, and we agreed that the optimal result would be to both break the scoring record and tie. That would be the best way to do this week. So we're gonna try to do that. We're gonna try really hard.
Whoa! Just blew my mind, man.
Both gonna score 250 and tie. Calling it. All right. Second Big Five game. Dan and Carter. Dan with an opportunity with a loss from my team to take control.
He's been throwing shade at the Carter Love here. He's got a chance to just officially end it.
Mm-hmm.
But if Carter wins,
what are we gonna do next week? I mean,
for anyone who didn't just watch that, Brock did a happy dance.
It's gonna be wow if he wins.
I mean, let's think about this for a second. Can Carter actually win? The answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at these projections. He's
got a hefty total.
Carter's projected 158. Dan's projected 167. Like, wow. I wouldn't have expected 158 for Carter, but
in the last 4 weeks, Carter would be 3-1 against Dan.
All right.
I can see this happening, man.
I mean,
Carter's 5-6, like probably not gonna make the playoffs, but it gives us a chance here on the Web.com podcast to get real weird with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Dan, but that 3-1 in the last 4 weeks thing proves that it's definitely not a lock. So, all right.
Did I already pick? I'm going.
I don't know. Did you?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick Dan.
Yeah.
Carter. Even though I should pick Dan because I have Carter's pick. I don't know. Well, I'll pick Carter. Whatever.
That's nice, Caleb. I like when you play devil's advocate like that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Pac-5 games. Brock and Dave. Can Dave strike lightning twice?
This is the.
This would suck. This is your can't lose, man.
This is actually a can't lose. This is one of the biggest games of the season by far.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, 5-5.
Not only does Brock not have to lose, but if he did lose, Dave is like suddenly like right there.
Oh yeah, I mean, if me and Parker would lose this week, he would be at that 6-5 mark just with us fighting for that last playoff spot. This is both of these teams' playoff hopes are pretty much on the line here.
Yeah.
If I lose next week's podcast, is gonna be suicide watch, man.
Oh, we're laughing now, but I'm scared.
I don't think it's a joke. I
just saw you there.
Well,
it wasn't a joke, no.
Give me Brock.
Give me me.
Yeah. The good news is that you are 1-0 against Dave this season, and there is only 1 week over the first 10 that he would have beaten you, and it was this past week. So, I'll give Brock the win here.
There's no shortage of stats this year that just make me angry. I feel like you come up with it like at least 3 new ones every week. Like that one where if I played Dave every week, I'd be 9-1, and we're both 5-5.
Yeah,
it makes me so mad.
It's great. I'm so sorry. All right. Second Pac-5 game then is Josh and Tim. Tim ends his Pac-5 special gauntlet.
Yeah. Tim.
Me.
It's groaning. Like, we gotta pick Tim, I guess. Damn it.
I feel like I pick the upset I'm pretty sure I pick Josh or Dave like every week in this 4-game stretch. I'm gonna let it ride. Give me Josh.
Wow. I'm taking Tim.
Soft.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I gotta pick Tim. I have to do it.
Soft.
Josh would have beaten Tim 3 times for the first 10 games, but I'm gonna go with Tim. Mark Ingram show. All right. Interconference game of the week is Caleb and Kelvin. So, Caleb, you have to win to keep yourself in the playoff picture, theoretically. Because let's say you did win and Parker lost, and Brock lost, then you would be in the playoffs. I think that's correct. Actually, I don't even think it matters what Brock does. I think if you win, you're in the playoffs if Parker loses.
Yeah.
This week.
Okay. Like,
there's still clinch scenarios.
No. I'm not talking about clinching.
Okay, I would be
I'm talking about
holding that
positioning.
spot. I would be in the possession
Okay.
for that.
You hold your own destiny.
Yeah, at this point, it's all about can these teams even be in a spot? And I think Caleb being in a spot in week 11 is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna pick Caleb. I mean, Calvin's 1-9, and I mean, honestly, he's scoring more points per game than Caleb this year. So, what are you gonna do?
Oh my God.
I don't believe that. Run the numbers.
I'm picking Calvin.
Run the numbers again. That's not true. How?
Calvin is quietly like losing a lot of games in the 140s and 150s. Like this 8-game losing streak, he has lost 4 games while scoring over 140 points. And he's only dipped below 120 one time. So he's like losing in a respectable fashion just 8 times in a row.
All right.
That's how winners lose, man.
So
I'm picking Calvin because I can't have a world where Caleb's 7-4.
Okay, Brock. You know how your threshold is 150. You're undefeated if you win. Mine is 137. If I score 137,
which is below the league average.
Another stat.
I score below the league average.
Endless stats that make me mad. Endless stats. There's so many.
That's a nice one, though. All right, I'm picking myself.
Are we going to squeeze in one more? I bet you we can. I bet you one will come up yet.
Oh, my God. Yeah. All right. Well, Caleb, what do you have to say here?
All right, so this season, I don't know if it's like been more than other seasons, but it seems like players are fumbling out of the back of the end zone like every week, constantly. And Rich Eisen tweeted, I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know what you think about this, but he said, quote, "One of worst rules in football, fumble into end zone is a touchback. 1, why should an own end zone benefit a defense? Secondly, why disincentivize offensive players for trying the hardest to score?" So, like, they're saying, like, you know, you fumble it out of bounds on the one, you keep the ball. But if you fumble it out of at the end zone into the back of it, it's a touchback. He doesn't think that makes sense. But I was wondering what your thoughts were on that. Like instead of giving the other team the ball, if you fumble it out of the end zone, like, put it back on the one, maybe. I think that is what he's trying to do. But I don't know.
Like, I feel like this happened in a Packers game like a couple years ago, and it was kind of like the first time I heard of it, and I was like, that sucks. But now, like, with all this like outrage about it, I kind of want to keep it.
Want to keep it?
I feel like it's like there's so many like rules, like they're never like wild rules, like they're always conservative rules. This rule is a wild rule.
It's pretty wild.
It's like inches away from either scoring 7 points or giving the ball back to the other team. I kind of like it.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
think
it's dumb, but
a load of shit.
A load of shit.
Like, I don't understand why Corey Davis gets into the end zone, and then because he gets into the end zone and loses the ball, then it's given to the other team. Can we please get Corey Davis a touchdown? 2K17.
It feels like a rule we would think of playing backyard football in elementary school. Like, hey, don't fumble it right here. You'll lose the ball. You'll lose possession. But if you fumble it right here, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I don't know.
I mean, what if it was just? I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Like, what if a fumble out of the end zone was like you keep the ball, but you get put back on the 20?
Yeah,
like what if it's like a touchback? Well, I mean, it's not like what if you just get moved back to like the 20?
At this point, anything's an improvement, so that would be an improvement.
So
I don't know. I feel like the 20 is probably extreme since you're already down there. I feel like you could go back to like the 5
or 10. I mean,
or at least, yeah,
probably like the 5. I think that'd be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty stupid, honestly, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it helped the Packers this week, right?
Yeah, that's so funny that John Fox challenged that, and then
it's
ball.
It shouldn't. They shouldn't have been able to like reverse that on a challenge. That seems wild. That seems crazy.
Not only did the Bears not get the touchdown, but it is indeed a Packers football. All right, thank you.
I left the room while they were reviewing that because I just was like, oh, it's either gonna be a touchdown or they're gonna have the ball on like literally the inch-yard line. And like I came back and we had the ball like and there's no score up and I was like, what the hell happened?
Oh man. Yeah. All right. I mean, I was going to kind of run through some like playoff things, but honestly, I think we covered it pretty good, and we're going to talk a lot more about it over the next 4 weeks. So I'd say we could call it good. What do you think?
That sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
All right, fellas. Well, should be an exciting week 11. A lot on the line. All 3 players in this podcast have some pretty big games coming up here, must-win scenarios almost. So should be an exciting one, guys. Let's make it a great week 11.